Hi there, welcome to Turland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aries energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Aries energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy. Because we all have our dualistic nature and we have to make choices in our life. And in our more high vibrational, hopeful, believing, loving nature, believing in ourselves, believing in our dreams, we might like to do something differently. But in our more worldly nature, you know, our fear, our insecurity, our fear of change, looking at life differently, maybe it would require, you know, we take action in life differently. Maybe we'd have to speak our truth. Maybe we'd have to stop certain habits or patterns or jobs or friendships or relationships, and all those things can be challenging. So some people could be debating within themselves, but while some people could be debating within themselves, other people have finished the debate, and some people are going to move forward in life differently than they were living life previously. Maybe just healed or grew or matured in some way, expanded their perception of themselves and the world around them, that they just view life differently. Their perception of life is different. And there's going to be people who aren't motivated. You know, they're just, when the way we're living our life kind of gets old or something, we start, you know, we've just completed a cycle, then other people have to go through that debate. But we can all live our life the way we're living it, and we're fine, and we don't feel a need to do anything differently. And some people don't feel a need to do life differently for some, but other people might never want to live life differently, might never want to heal or grow or mature or look at life any differently. They have a way of viewing life, and that's the way they view life, and that's the way they want to keep living their life. And it can be kind of stagnant energy, or kind of more about themselves, or bossy or controlling. Some people in their Aries energy are really fired up about the world. You know, their whole life is about indulging in things of the world, making their life about money or materialism, or maybe they're just all about themselves. So we're going to kind of touch on all of that here. So listen to your intuition about how you harness your energy, what drives and motivates you. Listen to your intuition about other people in your life. Okay, well, let's go look at the top row first. The reason for the reading for the top row is the Sun card. Just being illuminated to a truth, and it could be just learning to love yourself and believe in yourself. Offering love and compassion and forgiveness to the past, to let it go, where maybe before you were still kind of in your ego about things. When we're kind of in our ego about things, we'll probably be in relationships with other people that are in their ego about certain situations, and maybe you work through it. The truth sets us free. The sun is about being illuminated to the truth, and you're ready to move forward in life differently, and maybe some other people in your life aren't. So we have the Seven of Cups, the Five of Wands, Two of Cups, Three of Swords, Three of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Cups can be, we could have felt like someone was either superficial and shallow, or someone wasn't who they said they were. They were trying to emotionally confuse us about the truth. And we might want a new beginning. There might be someone in our life that we would like to have a new beginning with, but we could have some inner conflict about that. Maybe because some other people in our life broke our heart, or maybe some of the people we want to be in a relationship with, someone broke their heart. And we could be afraid in the Three of Cups that people are emotionally manipulating us, that other people are still emotionally manipulated by someone in their life. So the Wands and the Swords and the Pentacle can be about communicating with people, and the Pentacles talks about bringing something into the 3D world. That if I view there's someone who I think has, maybe in the Five of Wands, the fives can talk about change. If I think someone I would like to be in a relationship with has changed, that they're more aligned and more balanced within themselves. The Three of Swords is Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. That they've seen the truth, where before they could have been in the Two of Swords energy, where, you know, they weren't seeing things clearly, they really hadn't picked a path. And now I think they've seen the truth and they are operating from a foundation of love. Well, I would like to have a new beginning with them. And I might communicate with them if there's someone who seems to be kind of considering who and what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into, and they're not taking action more out of pride or ego or competitiveness or out of pain and heartbreak or trying to emotionally manipulate people, well, that would be someone I want to invest in. And so, as some of you are moving forward, you could be in that energy towards people. Other people could be in that energy towards you. And you know, it's just wanting to deal with the truth. We can have different people. The Seven of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles can mean that, you know, we all have different people in our world that we can invest in. We have people in our life that are more aligned with our hopeful, believing, loving nature. They kind of harness those kind of traits, characteristics also. And hope those people would be more tipped in favor of their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. They're more balanced within themselves. They're more motivated and inspired by love. They have learned lessons in life to grow and mature themselves and act with character and integrity. And they're being authentic and honest and loving. And they encourage us to be in that energy. We could also have people in our life who align with our more shadowy nature, who like us being in our more shadowy nature, and they would like us to invest in them. But they might operate more from more ego and want to be in a relationship with you because it's good for their ego and their image. You could want to invest in them because it's good for your ego and image. And people can be loving, but they're still confused and have inner conflict because people that they had worked with before could have been hurtful or unkind, or still weren't more stable or grounded within themselves, or hadn't learned to love themselves. And so some people could really be giving a lot of thought to who they want to have a new beginning with. And they could have different people, hopefully not 7, but you know, the Seven of Cups can just represent we have options. And then we have to look at the Seven of Cups is Scorpio energy. Who is someone who's kind of reconciled themselves with the past, has hope and faith and belief in love, and wants to have a deep, meaningful relationship with us? And who are people who might create the illusion they're that type of person, but it's really more of an illusion they create, and they do operate more from their ego nature, and they kind of like to kind of be in a more emotionally shallow, superficial relationship because they have inner conflict about love. Who has changed and who still has inner conflict about love, and who still might be kind of competitive, who still hasn't dealt with past pain and heartbreak, who seems like they have, who seems to have offered love to the situation to free themselves from the past, to be ready to have a new beginning, who's still manipulated by things of the past and other people in their life, or their ego or their fear or their more worldly nature and their want for these things of the world that kind of manipulate them. And so some people in their Aries energy could be wondering who they should invest in having a new beginning with. And they're trying to not take action more from their ego or their past pain and heartbreak, or be caught up in illusion and letting their more worldly nature of lust or greed or pride or ego or codependency manipulate them. For some. For other people, we're hoping maybe some other people would change and align with their loving nature and decide to work together with you cooperatively in a relationship. But if the truth is those people aren't doing that, we kind of got to get out of our illusions. And we need to start putting work and effort into manifesting the new beginnings that we want. And some maybe romantic relationships aren't coming into reality. Well, there's other parts of our dream. The Seven of Pentacles in Taurus energy can represent all these different things in our life that are part of that dream. Our career, our friendship groups, our unique talent, skills, and interests, and if we add the one pentacle to the Seven of Pentacles, we could have kind of been waiting to work through emotional confusion and inner conflict about different people in our life and who we feel does work with us more cooperatively, who we think is kind of more manipulative, who we think lives more from their mind than their heart, who we think is more balanced and just and fair. And then if we add the 1 to the 7, we have the 8 of Pentacles. And that's about looking to the future and kind of transitioning out of an old way of living life, viewing life, and ready to have this new beginning. And if there's people in our life that are willing to work together with us in that way, and we think they're being truthful and authentic and balanced and loving and stable and grounded and people who walk the talk, then those are people we're going to keep moving forward with. And people in our life who we're not really sure, or they're not investing in us and working with us, well, we can kind of only work with people who are willing to work with us. So, and deciding who we should invest our time, energy, and effort into more so than maybe some other people who we might view as loving people, but maybe they still have some illusions about love and they don't really treat people in a just and fair way, and they maybe try to emotionally manipulate people to get them to do what they want. It's like, I'll let you hang out with whoever you want. I kind of want to invest in people who I think are being more authentic and loving and warm and encouraging and supportive, and not people who seem to have inner conflict with love, or who I think still have things that manipulate them, that prevent them from being more authentic and loving and maybe acting with character and integrity. But, there's always people in our life. In the bottom row, the reason for the reading is the Ace of Cups, people that we have in our life that we have love for. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Empress and the Emperor. You could have dealt with two different people. This is Libra, Taurus. This is Aries energy. But it could have been people who could be a mother figure, or it could just be someone you have love for. And you could have viewed them as loving, but maybe as time went by, they kind of tipped more into their ego and kind of either became more about themselves or kind of bossy and controlling. And you were kind of inspired to let go, with this card not showing itself, you were kind of inspired to let go of maybe being more motivated and inspired in fire energy and Libra Taurus energy, to be more motivated and inspired by the things of the world, and to you know, we all, for the first many couple decades of our life, we're pretty focused on those things of the world and the things of the world that we want to go invest in and indulge in, that we think is just and fair and that we think will make us happy. And, but then as time goes by, we can be more inspired to get out of our more worldly focused view of life and to reflect on the truth and kind of be more interested in love. If we were more caught up in putting in maybe just work and effort into our career at the expense of love, now people could be more motivated and inspired to bring love into their life because maybe they did get the stability and the security that they wanted, and now they're kind of ready to incorporate investing more time, energy to be more balanced within themselves with love also. And, there can be all these things we kind of want to indulge in. Maybe the Emperor energy is Aries energy. Aries energy is about the self. And again, the first several decades of our life, we think we know best and all these things are the right thing to invest in and this will make me happy. And we could go pursue those things. Some people didn't want to be married. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck. And some people previously weren't really interested in being in a more long-term, maybe formal commitment. And, it's just being kind of enlightened to the truth and kind of meditating on past pain and heartbreak and these things of our past that maybe could have made us defensive to love and marriage and more formal commitments, and thought we'd be happy kind of being more about ourselves and maybe indulging ourselves more in relationships. But if we did try that, we could have tried to create an illusion that we had inner conflict with people in our past who broke our heart, but maybe really it could have been more because we were more about ourselves. Or there's these, we didn't want to, if we make the Eight of Pentacles, that would be getting into Virgo energy, where we're kind of willing to maybe deal with some of these fears and insecurities and inner conflicts we had about being in relationships where we do have to be more just and fair and work cooperatively with people, where, maybe initially people is kind of like, well, I really kind of want to be more about myself. High vibe Aries energy is where you are willing, you're a more emotionally mature person, you've learned these lessons in life, and you're making better, more balanced decisions in your life, realizing that all aspects of myself are important. My worldly nature, my emotional nature, my passionate, creative, inspired nature, my thoughts, my truth. But when we're younger, which again can be like the first 30, 40 years of our life, it's called kind of living more in our south node instead of our north node. And hopefully as we go through life and we learn lessons, we kind of get more in alignment with our true life purpose, which is our north node. And if you were to go on the internet and Google birth charts, and then you go to these different birth chart sites, and it wants you to put in your birth date and the time of day you were born, or you can use noon if you don't know the time of day you were born, and the city and state where you were born, and then they can see where the planets were at that time. And I know the one I went to, it's just something like called Aries-We, I think. That one tells you your north node, which is kind of like your life purpose. Maybe for some of you, your North Node is to align with high vibrational Leo energy, which is kind of being a god. And high vibe Aries would be about being a leader in the world, shining your authentic light, letting your more authentic, loving nature to encourage other people to work through their emotional confusion and their inner conflict about love and past pain and heartbreak, to incorporate those lessons into your life and not let those things keep manipulating you, offering love and compassion and forgiveness. Everybody's got lessons to learn in life. Some people have learned more lessons than some other people, and we get out of our ego about it so that we can keep moving forward, having hope and faith and belief and love, and then helping other people work through those things so we have more people not manipulated by their worldly nature, egoic nature, immature nature, self-indulgent, more materialistic nature, living more from their mind and their heart. And when we've kind of lived our life kind of indulging in all these things of the world, and we thought what we were doing, that this was going to work out right, but it could have ended up in pain and heartbreak. And so then we reflect on the truth of that. Why didn't that work out? We need to see the truth about ourselves. We need to see the truth about other people in our life. Where did I need to heal and grow and mature myself? Where did they need to heal and grow and mature themselves? What was driving and motivating me? What maybe drove and motivated them? And when we reflect on the truth of it, and we do offer peace and love to those things, we can let the pain and heartbreak and our more immature, defensive nature go. And we see the truth that love is what makes it all worthwhile. And previously we could have given up our hope and faith and belief in love because of how other people lived their life or acted when we were growing up or when we were in different relationships. But we shouldn't let other people who are in shadowy energy make us give up our dreams and believing in ourselves and loving ourselves. We've all had lessons to learn. We've had growing and healing, maturing to do. So have other people. And it kind of humbles us that, just like I'm a fallible human being, so are other people. And it's just offering love and compassion to it. And people in our life who we know are still kind of shadowy, well, their life is going to be what their life is. And people make their free will decisions of what kind of people they want to be. Do they want to be just and fair, or do they want to be more about themselves and bossy and controlling? Are they people who like to try to manipulate people? Are they people who like to tempt people in their lust and their greed and their pride and their ego to indulge them in relationships? Are we going to keep being manipulated by our more worldly nature and lust and greed and codependent nature? Or do we want to free ourselves from it? And are we going to learn to love ourselves, to heal, work through that emotional confusion and our inner conflict? Because we hold the key to freeing ourselves. It isn't other people loving and believing in ourselves and validating our worth and value. It comes from us putting in the work and effort to free ourselves. And when we do that within ourselves, then we're kind of not on the same page as people in our life who might want us to be in a relationship with them for reasons other than that we could think is more immature, more codependent, more ego-based, more indulgence-based, and we're going to want to be in relationships with people who are more on the same page as us. So, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Aries energy, who are doing this work to work through their emotional confusion and their inner conflict? We have the Emperor, the Five of Pentacles, the Six of Swords, the Seven of Cups, the Seven of Wands. And the reason is because of the Queen of Wands. So I view the Queen of Wands as Leo energy, like the Sun energy, because you are willing to to see the truth and illuminate the truth, we have to deal with things that maybe we preferred not to look at and things we didn't want to see the truth of, but we bring them into the light to deal with the truth of the situation, and it's offering love and compassion to it. And then the Emperor is Aries energy, so it starts with us offering love and compassion to ourselves. Maybe to our own worldly nature and our own lack mentality and how we could have aligned with that, or we didn't kind of love and believe in ourselves, but willing to detach from being more about ourselves and being more tempted in our defensive nature or egoic nature, because when we move forward with other people that are happy we're in that energy, and we've realized we don't like being in relationship with other people who are maybe bossy and controlling or prideful or egotistical or manipulative. And so when we see the truth of that, we detach from our more worldly nature, and we detach from other people who tempt us to be in our more worldly nature. And we see the truth that living our life like that was causing us a lot of mental conflict. And we look at life from a higher perspective and put life in perspective. I'm probably going to live 80 years. How do I want to live my life? How's it been going so far? Do I have hope and faith and belief in myself? Do I have hope and faith and belief in my dreams? Do I believe in love? Do I want to be in deep, meaningful relationships instead of more emotionally shallow, superficial relationships? Am I willing to stand up for myself and what I believe in? And that's a process. And as high vibe people go through this process, they're detaching, looking at life, believing in themselves, offering love to the past, because the Six of Cups can talk about the past. We offer love to it. Again, offering love and compassion to accept that everybody is where they're at and where they were at. Everybody can learn lessons in life. Everybody can change and heal and grow, but until they do, we might want to keep our distance from them. And stand up for wanting to be in relationships with people who are more supportive, encouraging, authentic, inspired by love. And then I think as you do that and you're in that energy, there's going to be other people that are going to want to move forward with you in that energy, because you do inspire them to do this work within themselves, to love and believe in themselves, to be more independent, to shine their authentic life, to get out of their head and get out of the thing about the ego or the image and look at life from a higher perspective and stand up for themselves and what they believe in. And just live your more authentic life than making it more about conforming to the world or indulging yourself or others and more in your ego. What's coming up for some people who harness some shadowy energy? Some people who might be, their truth is what they love emotionally, what they think is just and fair in their Libra Taurus energy, is either looking like a boss in the world, and so that's the most important thing. I want to have a certain status and image in the world, or I want to be indulged, and I want to be in relationships where I think I can kind of manipulate and control people. And so those people are going to, they might have someone in their life who's willing to have, maybe offer them a cup of love if these people will get in a relationship with them. The only problem is, the truth is, they kind of offer things, more of things of the world. Well, I'll give you these things of the world if you'll offer me love, because they haven't learned to love themselves. And so it's kind of a more transactional type relationship. Well, I might look like a boss in the world. whether they're male or female. I might have money or status or image. I might be attractive. I might, whatever it is that they got. And they could think, well, I will give you some of those things if you will emotionally invest in me. And they could think that's just and fair. And as long as the people that are in their life maybe aren't seeing that they only give these things to the world, they're not really, they operate more from their ego nature than their more authentic, loving nature. There's going to be other people who want to get in a relationship with them. And some of you have love for those people, but you know that's what they offer, and you want to be in more authentic, deep, meaningful, loving relationships. And this person could want a more transactional relationship and kind of be indulged in a relationship. So what's coming up for those people that they don't see coming? The King of Swords. Why? Because of the Star card. Well, for one thing, if people who know try to emotionally confuse the competition, they try to get in relationships with people who are more hopeful and believing and loving, because we all like to be in relationships with people who are like that. But that's not the truth of who they are. But they try to emotionally confuse people about the truth of who they are. And they try to get in relationships with people who have a different philosophy of life than they do. They operate more from being more about themselves, more about ego and image or money and materialism, or being defensive. And they try to get maybe loving people who could be heartbroken because of a different relationship, and try to get those people to invest in a relationship with them so that then they can move forward in a relationship with them. But the problem is, if they get in relationships with loving people, those loving people are more balanced within themselves. Both the King of Swords and the Three of Swords of Libra energy, they're more balanced within themselves. They could be heartbroken that some things didn't work out the way they wanted, but they still are able to offset their fear and their insecurity and their past pain and heartbreak with love and hope and faith and belief. And those people are offering truth and love. This person's only offering things of the world. And eventually the high vibe people in their life see the truth of it. And they see that these people might want to be in a relationship with them. It's good for their ego and image and status to be in a relationship with a loving person. But the loving people have a dream of being in a relationship with other people who are aligned with their hopeful, believing, loving nature. And these people aren't. In their free will, they chose to align with kind of indulging their more worldly, egoic nature and being a little bit more about themselves, which can just be their self-defensive nature to being hurt. I don't really want to authentically, emotionally invest in love. I get hurt doing that. So I kind of think I can just manipulate people and emotionally confuse people, live more from my mind than my heart. But high vibe people listen to their intuition, and they want to be in a relationship with people who have hope and faith and belief and love. And so eventually those people listen to their more loving, intuitive nature. They work through all their mental confusion because for a lot of reasons, they'd like to stay in this relationship, but they see other people live more from their mind than their heart and try to emotionally manipulate them with things of the world. And they realize their dream isn't going to come into reality there. And so they detach from those people to go pursue their dreams. And if someone who's more worldly focused tried to manipulate someone else, they're kind of harnessing a shadowy Libra Aquarius energy, but the other person could harness a more high vibrational Libra Aquarius energy. And in their Aries energy, that's what drives and motivates them. The other people in their Aries energy are more motivated to live more from their mind than their heart to get the things that they want. And eventually they're always going to have high vibe people who aren't willing to give up their dreams for these things of the world. And they're going to detach from these people and move on. And just like some of you people did that, well, then those people go get in other relationships and again try to manipulate a loving person to be in a relationship with them when that's really not what drives and motivates them. And again, the other people could see the truth and move on. And eventually, if the people who are more worldly focused, self-focused, ego-focused, emotionally detached, more about money and materialism, eventually they'll probably be in relationships with people who live more from their mind than their heart too. Who says to themselves, you know, this makes logical, practical sense. If I were to get in a relationship with you, this would make me look like a shining star. I'll do that. And then they're in a relationship with someone else who also lives more from their mind than their heart. And is more about staying in a relationship because of the ego or the image or the status. And that would be a just and fair relationship. Loving energy of the world is trying to get them to see through the illusion of their competitive nature because their loving nature is heartbroken, that they're emotionally manipulated by the world. High vibe energy wants people to be free to live their more authentic life. Don't let your ego run your life. You might get all these things of the world, but it's not love. You're not building a foundation based on love. Both Libra and Aquarius, air sign energy, living more from the mind than the heart. Making their life more about the world and their ego and their image. But if that's what they love and is important to them, then they should get in relationships with other people who that is what they love also. And quit trying to get loving people to stay in a relationship with them when the loving people want a more, you know, their dream and their goals are different. I want to be in authentic, inspiring, loving, creative, inspired relationships where, yes, we put in work and effort to have stability and security in our life too, but it's not like the end-all, be-all in our life, but we're willing to sacrifice love just to have those things. And some people, you know, it can be more, you know, let me use my emotions and my sexuality to get someone to be in a relationship with me so I have those things of the world. So it's kind of abusing the gifts you were given, your emotional nature, your creative, inspired sexual nature, for a shadowy end goal. You know, and then it could kind of become kind of emotionally distant relationship, emotionally cold relationship, because nobody's really in it for love. It's more for the status and the ego and the image. But if that's what makes some people feel stable and secure and they really don't want to be more authentically themselves, you know, we're emotionally confusing human beings. And for some people to connect in with their more emotionally intuitive nature, loving nature, be more authentically themselves in the world, they're just not ready, you know, and that's why they choose to live their life this way. But then they should go get in relationships with people who they think are more on that same page as them. It's an injustice to try to get people who they know are more driven and motivated by love when they know they're not that type of person. Let the loving people go get in relationships with people who are more motivated by love, and they go get in relationships with people who are more motivated in codependency or something, you know? So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.